Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're opening a file that feels less like a historical record and more like a fever dream.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
We're tackling a stack of sources that are going to mess with your head a little bit because we are looking at a chronicle involving a group of mercenaries, some ancient evil wizards, and a landscape where the rocks actually talk to you.
I'm glad you started with the talking rocks.
We have to. We are digging to the archives of the Black Company, specifically a set of documents known as the White Rose.
And this is a fascinating entry point because we are dealing with a story that is structured as a historical annal. It's not just a straightforward adventure. It's a record. It's meant to be read as history.
Right.
And the sources we have today are split. We have the present-day journals of a physician named Croker, and then we have a narrative from nearly 40 years in the past involving a researcher named Bowmans.
Exactly. Two timelines that are somehow going to connect. And the setting alone is enough to hook you.
Yeah.
We're starting in a place called the Plain of Fear. Just let that name sit with you for a second. The Plain of Fear. It's described as this surreal, defensive landscape where reality is just, it's wrong. The source text describes the air as having a lens-like quality.
And let's stop on that phrase, lens-like quality, because that sounds poetic. But if you're a soldier, that's a total nightmare.
What does that actually look like on the ground?
It's absolute tactical chaos. Imagine you're on guard duty. You look at the horizon, and you see a rider. Your brain, your training, everything tells you they're 5 miles out.
Okay.
You blink, you look again, and they haven't moved. You count to 10, look again, still there. It feels like they're frozen. But the reality is they are galloping at full speed and they're almost on top of you. The distance was a lie.
Whoa. So your depth perception is essentially weaponized against you?
Completely. It's weaponized geography.
That sounds incredibly disorienting. If you can't trust your eyes to judge distance, how do you even defend a perimeter? How do you command troops?
That's the point. You barely can. It disrupts the fundamental geometry of warfare. If you're an archer, how do you aim? You see a target 100 yards out, but is it really? Or is it 300? Or 50?
You'd be firing blind.
Exactly. If you're a scout, how do you report enemy positions? It's useless. The lens-like air compresses and expands distance arbitrarily. And it's not just vision. The source material notes that the change lightning on the horizon isn't just weather.
This is not a storm.
No, it feels like the landscape itself is shifting, like the ground is convulsing. And the colors are wrong, too. The text keeps mentioning rust, ochre, blood-shaded sandstones. It's an arid, hostile place that just feels sick.
That sounds like the entire environment is designed to make you paranoid.
It is. It's psychological warfare built into the geology.
And the rocks.
Yeah.
I mentioned the rocks talk. We're going to get into the menhirs later. Just try to imagine walking past a boulder and it chuckles at you.
Yeah.
That is the vibe we're dealing with. But before we get to the talking stones, I want to get a handle on the mission here. What are we actually trying to figure out today with these sources?
Okay, so the mission is to connect two disparate timelines. In the present, we have the Black Company, this ragtag group of survivors, and they're hiding in this surreal landscape.
In the Plain of Fear.
Exactly. They are hiding from an empire led by a sorceress known simply as the Lady. And in the past, 40 years prior, we have this obsession with an even older, ancient evil called the Dominator.
Right.
Our goal today is to see how the mundane frustrations of a researcher in the past, this guy Bowmans, actually set the stage for the desperate survival of the Black Company in the present.
It's a puzzle box.
It is a very strange one.
We've got a weary doctor, a nagging wife, a magic dog, and a hole in the ground. So let's unpack this. Let's start with the geography, because if you don't understand where they are, you don't understand the pressure they're under, the Plain of Fear sounds like it actively resists intruders.
It does. It's a fortification, but not one built of stone walls and moats. It's built of biology and magic. Let's talk about Old Father Tree.
Okay.
This isn't just a big oak. The source says it is 20 feet tall, 10 feet thick, and it radiates dread.
Wait, a tree that radiates dread, what does that actually feel like? Is it a smell? A sound? Is it just a feeling you get?
It's described as a psychic pressure. You get near it, and you just want to run. Every instinct in your body is screaming at you to turn around. It's a sentient entity.
So it's projecting this fear.
Yes, and its leaves sound like wind chimes tinkling off one another. That sounds pleasant, but in context, it's chilling because the source makes a point of saying there's no wind.
Oh, that's creepy.
Very. And it has a taproot right in the creek, the main water source. It's implied that this tree is a sort of an anchor for all the strangeness of the region.
So it's like a biological router for the weirdness.
That's a great way to put it, a router for weirdness. I like that. And it's not the only mobile vegetation. We also have walking trees.
Which is, I mean, that's just terrifying.
Yeah.
The text mentions that the company usually leaves them alone, but they will just pick up their roots and retreat if they sense you watching them.
Yeah, they just sort of shuffle away.
That image of a forest just leaving because it's uncomfortable is wild.
It reinforces that the plane is alive. It has agency. You aren't just walking on the ground. You are walking on a creature, in a sense.
Oh.
The whole place is an organism.
It really feels like that.
But the thing that really captures the scale of the threat for me, the thing that makes you feel small, is the wind whales.
Tell me about the wind whales. Are we talking about, like, giant birds? What are they?
No, not birds. We are talking about massive airborne leviathans. The source says they cast shadows that cover acres.
Acres. A single shadow.
Acres. Think about that size. An acre of shadow moving silently across the ground. They drift through the upper air, trailing these long tendrils to trap prey.
Like a jellyfish in the sky.
Exactly. A jellyfish the size of an aircraft carrier floating silently above you. It gives you a sense of the scale of this place. You are small, you are insignificant, and you are being watched from above and below.
And from the sides. Because of the menhirs.
Yes, the talking stones.
These are standing stones, 12 to 15 feet tall. And they aren't just rocks, as you said. They move when you aren't looking. This feels like a horror movie trope, the statue that moves when you blink.
It is, but applied to geology.
Yeah.
And it's more subtle. You turn your back, you look again, and a 13-foot stone has just silently glided up behind you. No sound, no trail, it's just there now.
And they have personalities. Croker, our narrator, he notes that they have malevolent laughs.
They laugh.
They chuckle. They mock.
Unbelievable.
Imagine being on patrol, already terrified of the wind whales, unable to judge distances because of the air, and then a rock behind you starts giggling.
It's pure psychological warfare, but here's the kicker. They are the intelligence network of the plane. They're not just there to be scary. They tell the company things, but only when it suits them.
Right, they give this recurring warning. There are strangers on the plane. It's like a broken record, but a useful one.
An incredibly useful one. It's the only reliable intel they have.
So the company is hiding here, but they aren't just camping out in the open. They are in something called the fastness, or more affectionately, the hole.
The hole is a perfect description. It is a subterranean, warren damp, moldy, stinking. It's miserable, but it is the only safe place in the world for them. And the reason it's safe is because of a character named Darling.
This is the White Rose connection. Let's dig into this.
Huh.
Why is Darling so special? Is she some kind of incredibly powerful wizard?
Quite the opposite. We need to wrap our heads around the concept of the null. In a fantasy world, usually the hero has a bigger sword or a brighter fireball. Darling's power is the opposite of that. She is a void. She projects a field, an aura, where magic simply stops working.
So is it like a shield? Does she block spells?
It's more active than that. Think of it like an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, but for magic. If a wizard steps into her radius, which is about a mile or so, their spells aren't just blocked, they are powered down. Their battery is dead. The magic inside them is just gone.
That has to be jarring for someone like One Eye or Goblin, the company's own wizards. They rely on magic for everything.
It's humiliating for them.
Right.
The source mentions that inside the fastness, these terrifying sorcerers who can level cities are reduced to squabbling old men. They try to cast a hex on each other and nothing happens. They have to resort to physical pranks, slapstick violence because their sorcery is neutralized. When Goblin says he loosened One Eye up during a patrol, he means physically. He likely punched him.
So it completely changes the power dynamic within the company itself.
Massively. But for the enemy, say one of the ladies' generals flying in on a magic carpet, what happens when they hit that invisible wall?
The carpet just stops.
Physics takes over. The magic holding the carpet up evaporates. The text describes it as a wobble at first. They feel the power drain. If they push too deep, they fall out of the sky.
A literal crash.
A literal crash. It creates this perfect, invisible anti-air defense system. Even the mighty generals of the Lady, these demigods called the Taken, cannot enter the null without losing their godhood.
So you have this group, the Black Company, hiding in a hole, protected by a girl who turns off magic, surrounded by talking rocks and flying whales.
It's a surreal picture, isn't it?
It is. And the morale.
Yeah.
Not great. They call themselves the joke hope.
That phrase, the joke hope, is so telling. It's incredibly cynical. To the outside world, to the captive nations under the lady's boot, they are the new White Rose Rebellion. They are this grand symbol of freedom.
The last hope for the world.
But to Croker and the men living in the mud, they know the reality. They're a remnant. They're tired. They aren't an army. They are a refugee camp with swords. They know they probably can't win.
Let's look at Croker's perspective here. He's the physician and the company historian. He keeps the annals. He sounds exhausted.
He is. He describes himself as an old, tired man. There's a great line where he talks about dusting off his old dreams and fondling them nostalgically. He feels his age, and that sets the tone for the whole group.
They're not kids on an adventure.
No, not at all. They aren't young heroes on a quest. They are veterans trying to survive one more day. Croker is deeply cynical, but he stays because the company is his family. It's the only thing he has left.
And the cast of characters reinforces that family dynamic, dysfunctional as it is. We mentioned One-Eye and Goblin.
The wizards.
Even in the middle of a war zone, their main activity seems to be playing pranks on each other.
It is a coping mechanism. It has to be. One-Eye is described as a dried-up little black man, and Goblin looks like an old toad. They have been feuding for ages. But notice, because of the null field in the camp, they can't use magic on each other.
Right. It forces them to be normal.
It grounds them. It reminds us that without the magic, they're just two grumpy old men. It's almost comical.
And then there is Silent. I love this guy. He hasn't spoken in years.
A self-imposed vow of silence, Croker suspects. He's this looming figure. He communicates with subtle nods or just by being menacing. He is a dark, brooding presence, often found hiding in these things called thousand coral reefs that dot the plain.
What are those?
The text is a bit vague, but they sound like these strange, sharp, rock-like formations, perfect for an ambush or just for hiding. Silent represents the secrets the company keeps, even from each other.
And rounding them out, you've got Elmo, the pragmatic sergeant. He's the one trying to keep discipline while everyone else is getting eccentric.
He's the glue, the guy focused on patrols and guard duty while the wizards are bickering and the rocks are laughing.
But things kick off, the inciting incident of this whole chronicle, when a patrol comes back from a place called Tanner. They are battered.
Badly. They've been chased for a month. This is the first sign that the stalemate is breaking. The enemy isn't just waiting anymore. They are actively hunting.
And this is where the Menhir's warning becomes critical. There are strangers on the plain, Croker. It repeats it.
Twice, which Croker notes is significant. If a rock tells you something once, maybe it's the wind. If it tells you twice.
Twice a charm, he says. You listen. And the threat is real. We get a visual of the Taken. These are the sorceress generals of the lady, specifically two of them, Whisper and Journey.
And they're scouting the plain on flying carpets.
Right, and that image of the flying carpet wobbling as it hits the null field is so important. It shows the limitation of the enemy, but also their persistence.
It does. They're probing the defenses. They know something is there. They just can't see exactly what. It's like a game of Battleship. They're just calling out coordinates, hoping for a hit.
So the pressure is mounting from the outside. But then we get these mysterious messengers, and this is where the story gets really intriguing for me. It's not an attack, it's the delivery.
It's a total mystery. First, you have an old man on a mule. He rides right into the most dangerous territory in the world.
Through the talking rocks and the walking trees.
Yes, all of it. He uses a password, tokens, and delivers an oilskin packet specifically for Croker. Not for the captain, but for the doctor.
And he traveled 1,000 miles from a city called Orr. That's a long way on a mule. Why send an old man? Why not a soldier?
That's the question, isn't it? Likely because a soldier would be noticed. An old man is invisible. He's not a threat. But then, almost immediately after, a second stranger arrives. And this guy is completely different.
This is Tracker.
This is Tracker.
Tracker's a great character sketch. He's big, he's scarred, he moves like a predator. But the real star of his entrance is his dog.
Toad Killer Dog.
Code Killer Dog. I have to ask about the name. It sounds ridiculous, but the text treats it with deadly seriousness.
It's a title, almost. And the description is visceral. A mangy, dirty white mongrel with a black circle around one eye. But the details are what make it chilling. He has red eyes that burn in the firelight.
And Tracker insists on the full name. You don't call him Toad Killer, you call him Toad Killer Dog.
And he's not a pet, he's a partner.
Is it actually a dog?
That is the question the company asks. It seems smarter than the man. It listens to the conversation. It judges the people in the room. There's an intelligence there that unnerves everyone. It's not natural.
And the coincidence is what alarms the company. Tracker also comes from war.
Right.
He also brings an oilskin packet. And it's also for Croker. Two messengers, same origin, same destination, arriving hours apart.
In the world of the Black Company, coincidences like that usually mean a trap. There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Absolutely. So they throw Tracker in a cell just to be safe, to get him. But now Croker has these two packets, and the text says the packet is screaming at him.
Metaphorically, of course.
Of course. But the tension is unbearable. He knows the answers are in there, but he's afraid to look.
Because opening that packet acknowledges that their hiding spot is blown. It acknowledges that the outside world has found them, the war is coming to them, whether they like it or not.
And to understand why those letters are so dangerous and why they traveled 40 years to get there, we have to leave Croker for a moment.
We have to jump back.
We have to go back to where the ink was wet. We have to go back 37 years to a place that makes the Plain of Fear look like a vacation spot.
The Barrowland.
Yeah.
The graveyard of the Empire. And the man holding the shovel isn't a soldier. He's that antique dealer we mentioned earlier. Let's meet Bowmans.
Bowmans is not what I expected. After reading about these tough, cynical soldiers like Croker and Tracker, we meet a bald, fat shopkeeper who is terrified of his wife.
Hey, it creates a wonderful contrast. We're dealing with these high fantasy stakes, dark lords, and ancient rebellions, but the protagonist in this timeline is a guy dealing with a midlife crisis.
It's a very grounded perspective on this epic history.
Totally. Bowmans is living a double life. Publicly, he is an antique dealer. He sells rusted swords and old arrowheads from the Barrowland. Privately, he is a brilliant, obsessed researcher. He is fascinated by the domination, the era of the lady and the dominator that ended 400 years ago.
So on the surface, he's just this harmless old man.
That's the cover. He's arguably one of the most dangerous men in history, but if you walked into his shop, you'd just see a guy terrified of his wife.
Jasmine. Let's talk about her.
Jasmine. And the sources don't paint her as a villain necessarily. She's just cold. She's practical.
Literally and figuratively.
Both. The text emphasizes the winter, the drafty floorboards. She's nagging him because she's freezing, and she knows he had the talent to be a rich wizard in the city of Ur. He could have been successful.
But he chose this obsession instead.
He dragged her to the Barrowland to chase fairy tales, so she resents him for it. She sees his life's work as a pile of junk in the basement.
So he's living this double life.
It's classic espionage in a domestic wrapper. Upstairs, he's getting yelled at for not selling enough rusty swords to buy firewood. Downstairs, in his study, he's mapping out the exact burial sites of the most evil sorcerers who ever lived. He calls it his vapid juvenile dreams, but you can tell he's completely obsessed.
And yet, Bowmans admits to himself that he essentially loves her, or at least he respects that she hasn't betrayed him to the authorities.
There's a grudging respect there, but he's stuck. He has spent nearly 40 years trying to contact the spirits of the taken, and he hasn't succeeded. He's afraid he's going to die a failure.
That fear of failure is his driving force.
Absolutely. He is intellectually seduced by the mystery. He tells a friend, a traitor named Tokar, that he loves the lady in his own way. Not that he wants to bring evil back into the world, but he wants to know the truth behind the myths.
He wants to understand her.
Exactly. He dismisses the White Rose as a boring hero. He has this great line where he says, "Why are we so intrigued by evil?" He notes that any peasant can name half the taken, but the White Rose is forgotten. Evil has better PR.
That is a profound observation. The villains are charismatic, the heroes are just historic.
Yes. Bowmans wants to know the lady because she is a mystery. Jasmine, his wife, represents the boring, safe reality, and he chooses the dangerous dream every time.
But he has an antagonist right there in town, Desan, the Monitor.
Bilson is a great villain because he is so bureaucratic. He's the head of the Eternal Guard. His job is to make sure no one wakes up the Dominator. And he knows Bowmans is up to something.
He suspects him.
He plays his cat and mouse game with him. He's a sadist. He jumps out of bushes just to scare him.
Literally jumps out of bushes. Bowmans is out raking poison ivy, and Basin just pops up to harass him. It's so petty, but there is a real threat there. Bazan could have him hanged.
And Besson drops a bombshell during that encounter. He mentions a rumor that Bowmans' friend, the traitor Tokar, might be a resurrectionist.
A resurrectionist? That sounds bad.
It's the worst accusation possible in this world. A resurrectionist isn't just a scholar. They were someone trying to physically raise the Dominator to restore the empire of evil.
So he's not just studying history, he's trying to repeat it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Beaumans is terrified because if Tokar is a resurrectionist and Beaumans is selling him artifacts,
Then Beaumans is an accessory to treason?
an accessory to the end of the world, basically.
This paranoia is thick. Everyone is watching everyone. Beaumans watches Bazan, Bazan watches Beaumans.
It's a small town full of huge secrets. But Beaumans keeps digging. And this brings us to the archaeology of evil. We get a detailed look at his research maps. The Barrowland isn't just a graveyard, it's a machine.
A magical containment machine.
Yes. The layout is crucial. The sources describe a 5-pointed star inside a circle. The circle was originally a moat. The points of the star are the outer barrows.
And we know who is in some of them. Beaumans has identified them. Soulcatcher, Shapeshifter, Nightcrawler, Stormbringer, Bonegnasher.
These are great names, by the way. Very evocative.
They really are. But the mystery for him is the 6 spot. Beaumans has the star points labeled 1 through 9 odd numbers. But the inner pentagon has the even numbers. And he cannot figure out who is buried in the number 6 spot.
It's the last key he needs.
He calls it the mask concealing the identity. He feels that if he can figure out who number 6 is, he can crack the code and make contact. Why is this specific identification so important?
Because in this world, magic relies on names. True names hold power. To summon something or to speak to it, you need to know what it is. If number 6 is a blank spot on the map, the circuit isn't complete.
It's a missing piece of the puzzle.
Beaumans believes that knowing the occupant of the 6th spot will allow him to tap the line, so to speak, and communicate with the spirits of all the buried wizards. It completes the connection.
And then there is the center, the Great Barrow. This is where the big guy, the Dominator, lies.
The main event.
The source text describes it as being surrounded by menhirs topped with 2-faced owl heads, one face looking in, one looking out.
Creepy. It symbolizes eternal vigilance, watching the prisoner and watching the world for any attempt to free him, and wooden fetish poles. But the most fascinating detail is the legend of the dragon.
Right. Beaumans notes a symbol on the crypt of a dragon with its tail in its mouth.
An Ouroboros.
Yes, and the legend says this dragon is catnapping the centuries away and is more alive than the sleepers. It's a guardian.
Is it a literal dragon? Or is it a metaphor for the magical wards?
Beaumans isn't sure, but he suspects it represents a binding force, a magical lock that keeps the Dominator in the ground. If that dragon wakes up, or if it is killed, the Dominator gets out.
A living security system.
So Beaumans is mapping this all out, dodging poison ivy, dodging his wife, dodging the secret police. And then we get another character entering the past timeline, a man named Corby.
Corby is the sleeper agent. He's the missing link. He arrives in the Barrowlands shortly after a failed uprising in a place called Juniper. He poses as a disabled veteran, a swamper.
So he's doing the lowest grunt work.
The lowest. He cleans stables, peels vegetables, makes himself completely invisible.
But we know he's not just a swamper. The text says his eyes are like winter steel.
Yes.
Yeah.
When pushed, he drops the act and becomes dangerous. But mostly, he's patient. He moves into and restores an old abandoned wizard's house. And in the kitchen wall, he finds a scrap of paper with a cipher key.
This is it. This is the connection. This is the smoking gun.
Exactly. Corby uses this key to decode a message and then write a story letter. The text explicitly says this letter won't reach its destination for years.
This is the payload.
This is the payload. The packets that Croker received in the present, on the plane of fear, they are the result of Corby's work in the past.
So Corby plants the seeds, Beaumans is digging up the dirt, and 40 years later, Croker is holding the harvest. It's a slow burn conspiracy.
And it highlights a major theme of this source material. The nature of history. You see, the Barrowland is falling apart. Nature poison ivy, scrub oak is reclaiming the site of ultimate evil.
It's being forgotten.
Exactly. And the Eternal Guard is underfunded and aging. Basan complains that he doesn't have the money to clear the brush from the barrows.
It's so mundane. We can't stop the ancient evil because of budget cuts. It's absurd.
But that is the point. Evil isn't always defeated by a single heroic battle. Sometimes it just waits. It waits for vigilance to fade. It waits for the budget to be cut. It waits for the guard to get too old to check the perimeter. The scariest thing about the Barrowland isn't the monsters. It's the neglect.
And it waits for curiosity. Beaumans isn't evil. He's just curious. But that curiosity is the crack in the door that evil needs.
That's the theme of the attraction of the dark side. Bowmans is seduced by the intellectual challenge. It's the Jurassic Park problem. He was so preoccupied with whether or not he could, he didn't stop to think if he should.
He wants to touch the flame because he thinks he's smart enough not to get burned.
And he's about to burn the whole world down with him.
And let's connect this back to the present. The source text mentions the year of the comet. In Bowmans' time, a comet is returning.
And this comet is significant. It's a time when the veil between worlds is thin, when the ghosts of the taken are strongest.
Right. And in Croker's time, in the present, that comet is coming back around again.
The cycle is repeating. It's astronomical clockwork, setting the stage for history to repeat itself.
Croker actually mentions that they have 20-some years till the comet shows in the present, but Darling, the White Rose, she believes the mess will be settled before then.
But the arrival of the Taken Whisper and Journey on the Plain suggests the timeline is accelerating. Things are happening faster than anyone expected.
Let's go back to the strangers on the plain. We have Tracker and the old man. We have the letters. And we have the warning from the rocks. What does this all mean for the Black Company?
It means their isolation is over. The joke hope is about to be tested for real. The fact that Tracker's dog, Toad Killer Dog, is so distinct, so unnatural, suggests he is a major player. You don't introduce a giant, possibly demonic dog with red eyes unless it's going to bite someone important.
That's a good rule of thumb.
It is. And the fact that the menhirs, the rocks, are getting agitated. They are the barometer of the plane. If the rocks are worried, you should be terrified.
And consider the irony here. The company is hiding in a place where magic doesn't work to protect a girl who is the reincarnation of the hero who defeated the Dominator.
Right.
But in the past, Bowmans is trying to contact the Dominator's lieutenants. It's a collision course. The past is literally sending mail to the future.
It's interesting how the null affects everyone differently. The wizards, One Eye and Goblin, they're useless. So the soldiers, like Elmo and Croker, have to step up. It shifts the power dynamic completely.
Does.
In a world of high fantasy and magic, the guy with the sword or the bow is suddenly the most important person in the room again. It grounds everything in a gritty reality.
And the physician. Croker's role is vital not just for healing, but for witnessing. He is the analyst. If he dies, the story dies. That's why the letters are for him. He is the keeper of memory.
I want to touch on the walking trees one more time because I just can't get over the image of a forest that just leaves when it gets uncomfortable.
It's such a strange, unsettling detail. It adds to the sense that the plane is alive. It's not just a backdrop for the action. It's a character in its own right.
It really is. The change lightning on the horizon, the wind wails. It feels like a place where the laws of physics are suggestions, not rules. And for the company, that chaos is their shield.
But the shield is cracking. The patrol coming back battered. The Taken scouting overhead. The message is arriving. The bubble is about to burst.
And the revelation of Corby in the past, finding that Cypher is the key. That letter he wrote is going to change everything for Croker. We don't know exactly what is in it yet, but the urgency is palpable.
Croker says the packet lay on the table screaming. That is some heavy foreshadowing.
Indeed. It represents the intrusion of the past into the present. The old infests my quarters, Croker says earlier, about his papers and his memories. He can't escape it, and now it's literally arrived in the mail.
So to sum it all up, we have a setup where a group of tired soldiers are guarding a girl who turns off magic, hiding in a hellscape.
While the consequences of an antique dealer's midlife crisis from 40 years ago finally catch up with them.
That is a brilliant summary, and it underscores the tragedy of Bowmans. He thinks he is just doing research. He doesn't realize he is lighting a fuse that will burn for decades.
And poor Jasmine. She just wanted a nice warm house in Orr.
She did. She wanted comfort. Instead, she got the year of the comet and a husband who talks to ghosts.
Before we wrap up, I want to speculate on the White Rose herself. Darling, she is mute, she is null, she is the hope of the world, but she is hiding in a hole. It's a very passive role for a savior figure.
It really is. It raises a question about the nature of power. The lady has all the flashy magic flying carpets, fireballs, terror. The White Rose has nothingness, silence, negation.
And we battle between something and nothing.
And the plane of fear is the battleground.
A battleground where the rocks laugh at you.
Exactly. Okay, so what is the takeaway here? What should you, the listener, be thinking about?
For me, it is the interconnectedness of actions across time. Bowman's private obsession in a dusty attic shaped the geopolitical landscape of the future. Never underestimate the impact of single person digging where they aren't supposed to dig.
And never underestimate a dog with red eyes.
That too. Always respect the Toad Killer Dog.
This has been a wild ride through the plane of fear. We've unpacked the geography, met the joke Hope, and traced the threads of the conspiracy spanning 40 years.
It is a dense, rich world, and we have only scratched the surface of these White Rose documents. There's so much more here.
As we sign off, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. We see Croker in the present, holding a packet from the past, and Bowman's in the past, desperate to unlock a future he doesn't understand. If the White Rose was the great hero who defeated the Dominator, why is the current White Rose darling hiding in a hole? Why is she so passive?
It's a good question.
Is it possible that the history Bowman's is trying to uncover is a lie, and the evil lady and the heroic Rose are more complicated than the legends say?
A question worth pondering. What if the good guys and bad guys aren't who we think they are?
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Keep digging.